shot down here, he actually founded the Schey Talks event. We're lucky enough to still have him as a sponsor and very involved in the program.
And then we also have our bronze level sponsors. So if anybody out in the audience has a business, we highly encourage you to get involved next year, unless you already did this year, but then continue to get involved.
So thank you to our sponsors.
So as we know, this whole event could not be possible without all the hardworking individuals. So I'd like to give a shout out to Hannah, Henry, the other Hannah, and everybody else who made this program possible.
All right, we also have raffles going on. So if Hannah didn't bother you when you walked in, she's coming in now if you have any more raffle ticket purchases. We have some really high-level prizes. There's a hand-drawn picture of Athens. We have a thing of Twizzlers. Who doesn't love Twizzlers? And how this is going to work is they all go into one basket. So as we pick out the winners, you'll get to pick your prizes. So the first winner pulled gets to pick the first prize. There's also a free night stay at the OUN. So if any of these prizes sound interesting to you, or if you just want to support the Athens community and help feed some families, tickets are $1 for one, or 6 tickets for $5. So Hannah will come around. If you guys want to donate or Venmo, feel free to. Without further ado, we'd like to announce the next speaker, so please give a round of applause for Ryan Sexton.
Webster's dictionary defines passion as a devotion to some object, activity, or concept. It's the thing that drives us forward, pushes us to be our best. Passion is what really defines us by showing us what we actually care about and what it is that you really want to be. The hard part is, though, is that not everyone actually knows what it is that they're passionate about. And a recent study actually showed that 51% of Americans feel disengaged in their jobs. Think about that. 51% of our American workforce does not feel a connection to their jobs. And that sounds crazy, but when you think about it, 16% of that 51% are actually in a category we call actively disengaged, meaning that they resent their jobs. 16% of people do not feel a connection to their jobs at all. They resent it, they hate it, they're toxic in that workplace. But of that 51%, about 45% of them said that they have no plans to change their jobs in the next 2 to 3 years. And one of the big reasons for that was they had no idea what their passion was. They didn't think that if they left it would change anything. And the scary part is, those numbers are expected to grow over the next 5 years. Guys, that's our generation. We're getting out of college, that's us. We're part of that 51% at that point. And so the solution to all of this really is just figuring out what it is that makes you happy, what actually drives your passion. For me, I discovered my passion here at OU through the Schey. But before I can get into my passion, how I got here, I want to tell you about my journey and what I went through. So I went to school up in Cleveland, a small town called North Royalton. It was a small town full of great little people. Everyone had their lives all put together, really, except for me. Or at least that's how I saw it. And I wasn't really involved in much in high school, except for being in the band as you see here. And the hard part for me was that nothing really had a purpose in high school. Concepts we were learning, all the different things that were going on in class, never really applied 3 weeks down the road. We learned it, we processed it, and it was gone. And so for me, I'm a very goal-oriented person. That was a lot. I wanted something to strive towards. I wanted something to be better at and really go achieve something. So since there was nothing to go get, I settled for good enough, right? I found ways to skate by, made sure my grades were just good enough to survive. I would even join groups like National Honor Society just because I knew that people would like it if I did it. I found myself doing things not because I actually cared about it, not because I was passionate about it, but because I knew that other people around me would be excited for me. There's a problem I only knew was there. I acknowledged it all the time. Hey, this is an issue. But I didn't want to do anything to fix it because at the end of the day, it mattered about what other people thought. And coming to OU was really, really hard as well. I was 3 hours away from home. I was extremely scared. I was extremely nervous. I was very, very awkward. And those are the worst combination of qualities you could ever have as a freshman that knows no one. And that was a problem. I didn't talk to anybody at orientation, so I came here, I knew nobody. And so I didn't want to put myself out there. I was too shy. But it was a really tough study in college. I wanted something to be different. So I started looking at student orgs, right? And I find the Schey. It intrigued me off the bat. Kind of wanted to see what it was about. I ended up applying and somehow getting in. And so before I get anything Schey-wise, I'll be totally honest with everyone. When I first joined the Schey, I had no desire to get involved after induction. I had the worst mentality ever. I was gonna join, I was gonna get that resume boost, and I was so out. And then the first Monday night workshop happened, right? And I'll always remember this. So we're in Nelson Commons, right? Everyone knows. I come in the back, and all these chairs there, and I do the class thing I knew in high school. I'm sitting in the back of the room, so no one can see me. I can play on my phone, and the moment they say, you can leave, I was out, right? I knew what I was doing. And then, I kind of look up, and I see Dr. Rapp, our executive director, up in the front of the room. And he's talking to people, and I can hear him just saying something crazy and just making everybody laugh around me. And I look along the side of the room, and I see other professors on our staff. And I've been at the info sessions, so I knew about them, and how impressive they all were in their own respective fields. And I said to myself, like, oh man, like I'm really part of something here. It all hits me at once. I'm part of the #1 sales organization in the entire country. That's pretty crazy for a guy that had no life direction a couple of months ago. And so that whole workshop happens, and afterwards, I even got to talk to one of the co-chairs at the time, Liam Moore. Liam's a great guy, works at LinkedIn right now, but at the time, Liam talked to me about the fact that the Schey had done so much for him, and that for me as a new hire, what could it do for me? What could I actually get involved in? What can I make an impact on? So I was like, all right, let's see what this guy's got. Let's see if it really holds up. So I joined 2 teams, First Impressions team and the Excel team. And again, I was still very nervous, very, very awkward, which is very, very tough in an organization full of very obnoxious and loud people. But I worked hard. I wanted to succeed. I wanted to be successful. And I did. I saw myself succeeding and saw myself grow in these first couple weeks. And then I was like, all right, I want to find out more. I want to get out of my shell and experience what this organization can truly do for me in a real role. So I started talking to everyone, going to more events, and just saying, I don't care who it is, if they're in the Schey, I want to talk to them. And that was awesome. I ended up meeting some really influential people who told me to keep getting involved. And the next thing I knew, I was running for a director position. I ran for director of recruitment. I'm just trying to get out of there still, show my excitable side, and bring people into this organization I was actually beginning to really love. I didn't get it though, unfortunately. I was moved to a different division in the Schey, the Division of External Relations, where I became director of First Impressions. And honestly, to this day, I was still a little confused, I was a little hurt, and I didn't know why I didn't get that position, why I was moved somewhere else. Was I not good enough? What was the deal? And I actually learned that the VP of the External Relations Division at the time, Colleen Allen, actually saw something in my interview. The person that got recruitment was very excited, well, he was great, but Colleen saw something in me. She wanted me. She wanted to fight for me because she believed in me, and she was going to go to bat for me for this position. And so for me, that meant a lot, that someone would actually believe in me and take a shot at me when I'd never met this person before in my entire life. And it was great. I wanted to go work hard. But the problem was that at the time, Director of First Impressions was not a glorious position. Aside from 1 to 2 potential partner visits at the beginning of the semester, there wasn't a lot going on. It wasn't a game-changing role. So I found myself at the same crossroads I was back in high school. Do I want to skate by, do the bare minimum work, or do I want to go out there and I want to break the box open, find different ways to change the position and really impact this organization? And I finally made the right choice. I went out there, and I just talked to Colleen, talked to different directors. Even if it wasn't in my position, I was trying to find a way to make an impact in some way, shape, or form. And it was huge for me. My confidence, my energy, they soared in just the first few weeks in the role. I was assertive, I was well-spoken, and for the first time in an extremely long time, I actually believed in myself and what my abilities were. I remember going home for the first time after spring break, getting to actually see my parents after getting my director position, and they told me they could not believe how much I changed just in the way I spoke and the way I held myself. And so we're coming back towards the end of the semester, and I was really thinking about, what do I want this organization to be for me? Do I want to keep being involved? Do I want to kind of hop out and find something else? And I really didn't know. And I actually started thinking, hey, maybe I do want to be part of this. And then one day, I get an email from Greg Scott, our Director of Partnerships, and Colleen Allen, and it was very weird. It was no context at all except for, hey, we want to see you in our office to talk, be there at this time. And I was like, oh my God, I just got fired. I'm actually beginning to enjoy this organization, and they are firing me. I don't even know what I did, but it's happening. And so I go to Greg's office, have to go to the meeting now. And I'm sitting there, I'm thinking about, all right, how do I not get fired? And then I sit down, and Greg closed the door, and he's like, we think you've been doing an absolutely fantastic job in this organization. We want you to continue on leadership. And I was like, wow, this is the weirdest firing ever. But in all seriousness, Greg and Colleen and I talked for about an hour and a half about my role in the organization and how they believed in me and saw opportunities for me to improve. Right? These 2 people took time out of their days just to talk to me about how they believed in me, how they saw so much in me, and that meant the world. No one's ever believed in me like that before. No one's openly came up to me and said, hey, we appreciate everything that you do. We want you to continue being a part of this organization that we love. And so for me, that was so huge. Knowing that these 2 people I looked up to and I wanted to be like, they were coming to me and saying, hey, you're God, you're great, and you can keep going here and making an impact in this organization. And I didn't know it at the time, but I really found my passion in that moment. I I realized it lied in sales and just people in general, making these connections and really defining what it is that I want to do in my life. And so it changed my mindset completely. Everything changed just from being, I want to be a good Schey member too. I want to be the best member the Schey's ever seen. I want to make an impact on this organization so large that no one will ever forget it. So I did. I went out there and I tried to innovate, find different things I could possibly do. If there was a single Schey event, I was going to be there, and I would be the first one there and the last one out. I wanted to be there because I loved it. And it was huge for me, just to see the impact and the role that it had on me. I was able to be director of First Impressions, worked really, really hard in that role, and it helped me become the VP of External Relations where I am right now. And I'm still trying to find ways to innovate and improve, because I know without this organization and the people in it, I wouldn't be where I am right now. You always hear adults talk about, how college changed and the things that did it, whether it be classes, being away from home. But for me, without a doubt, it was the Schey, the organization that constantly pushed me to be better, the organization that constantly believes in me. And the Schey has helped me in other ways too. Finding my passion here really helped me to join 2 other groups that I'm in, the Select Leaders Group and Delta Sigma Pi. Through the experiences, the connections, and the people in the Schey, I was more experienced than other people. I was able to go out there, interview better, just do different tasks because I knew that the people here cared about me. And so, excuse me. So finding these different people and going out there and experiencing it was huge because I knew that without the Schey behind me, I could do anything I wanted. So now it's on all of you. What is your Schey? What is the thing that gets you up in the morning and is the last thing you think about before you go to bed at night? And that's really hard to say. I know it's way easier said than done. But take 5 to 10 minutes every day for the next week. Just think about it. What is that thing that really makes you happy? It doesn't matter if it's related to work, doesn't matter if it's related to school, whatever it is, family, work, something completely stupid. What makes you happy? And focus on that. Think about the different ways that you can branch out on that thing and really capitalize on it. How can you be successful in the real world on that one little idea that makes you happy? Because that's the big thing, right? 51% of the American workforce, to remind you, are not happy in their job. And you don't want to be part of that. So figure out what it is that actually makes you happy, and then you can go out there and dedicate yourself to it. So, are you going to go out there and find it, or are you going to sit back and be another statistic? Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Ryan. For the next speaker, we have Andy Vu.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming out tonight. I have a confession for you all. I am a big, fat failure. I have failed terribly throughout my entire life. When I was 11, I got a basketball hoop on my driveway, and I got really interested in basketball. Then I heard about basketball tryouts, and I would practice hours every day, months before tryouts, to try to make the team. And I failed miserably. I thought I did well, but it wasn't good enough, and it absolutely broke my little heart. I cried every night for almost a week, and I ended up giving up on basketball. Instead, I would fall in love with football the next year when I started playing, and it became my obsession. My junior year of high school, I was training intensely before the football season started to try to make the varsity team. And I did well enough that I was actually on the varsity team in our preseason scrimmage. Then came our first game, and I had my opportunity to play cornerback. So for those of you that don't know, cornerback is the position that covers the wide receiver and prevents them from catching a pass. Anyways, on my very first varsity rep, at our very first game, I blew my coverage on the wide receiver, and he went wide open for a pass. And although the ball was overthrown, I still blew my coverage, and the coaches ended pulling me out for the rest of that game and for the rest of that season. So from that one play, my varsity chance had vanished. And by the end of the season, I realized I had only 1 year left. The next year, I finally earned a starting position, but I ended up losing that position in the last 2 playoff games of my senior year. When I first found out that I was being replaced, I did something I'm not proud of. I threw my helmet on the ground, went to the brick wall on the side of the stands, and started bawling my eyes out in the middle of practice. The head coach puts his arm around me and brings me into his office. And after a couple minutes of crying in my hands, I reluctantly told him that he didn't believe in me anymore. And after he let out a big sigh, he tried to gently tell me that I was too short. So at that point, I felt utterly helpless, and I was pretty sure my time in football was done. My first semester on campus here at OU, all I wanted to do was party and make friends. I barely cared about school or anything else. And in a sense, I was trying to party away all my insecurities and the hurt from my past. And I tried to join 3 different fraternities. I didn't get a bid from 2 of those frats, and the one I did get a bid on, I ended up getting kicked out as a pledge 3 months into the process. Yikes, so close. The next semester, I overheard students talking about Ohio University football tryouts. At the time, I didn't even know such a thing existed, for there to be tryouts and students would walk on to a Division I football program. So I instantly thought about the regret in my past, and I used it to fuel my dream of playing football again. So from that point, I would work out 5 to 7 times a week, an hour and a half in the gym and an hour and a half out on a football field. And it didn't matter whether it was night, day, snowing, or raining. I was going to make sure that I was going to be out there. And I would do this for an entire year up until football tryouts came up again. In that year of committing to improving my athleticism, I gained 30 pounds of muscle, went from bench pressing 225 once to doing it 14 times, went from jumping a 32-inch vertical to a 38-inch vertical, and went from squatting 365 pounds to 475 pounds. I was so impressed with my growth that I researched and adopted the growth mindset. And my belief was that whatever I wanted to do in life, as long as I kept challenging myself, learning and trying again, I can get better and better and eventually succeed. So eventually football tryouts came, and my testing numbers were great. But I ended up getting injured during my own workout while that tryout process was still going on. So even though my testing numbers were great, I couldn't perform the workouts during the tryout process. So they ended up cutting me. So after over a year of completely committing to this goal, I ended up not making the team, and I was devastated. But I knew that I could make it, that I had gone too far to just give up, and I had more to show them. So I decided to continue working out every day and emailing the coaching staff about my commitment to staying in shape. Eventually, one day the head coach brings me into his office. We had a chat about my tryout experience, and then he tells me something that I had heard before. You do know you're pretty short, right? And I actually smiled and chuckled inside this time, because I thought about the last time I was in a head coach's office, being told by the head coach that I was too short. I was crying, and I thought I was done with football. This time was different. This time, I didn't let his judgment affect me. Instead, I told him that my height didn't matter to me because I was going to get better every day. So that was enough for him to bring me onto the football season that fall of 2016. And to be honest, I was not really good at first. Corner is a tough position, and I hadn't played in over 2 years. But I would brush off every time I failed, try to learn something from it, and try again. And I got a lot better by the time the season ended. One of the assistant coaches told me that when they first started watching film on me, that I needed a lot of work. But by the time the season ended, I was pretty much competing like everyone else. And I remember one day, I was giving our starting quarterback, Greg, a ride back to his apartment. And after I parked and we were sitting in my car, he tells me something that I'll never forget. He goes, "Vu, I've been seeing you put in work, man. If you keep it up, you might start playing." And that meant so much to me, because not only was this the quarterback that was starting in the games, this was the guy that was passing to the wide receivers that I was covering in practice every day. All that momentum came to a halt when we got a new cornerback coach. And given that he was a new coach, it was easier and safer for him to invest in the scholarship guys than a little walk-on like me. So given a 2-hour spring ball practice, I would get anywhere from 3 to 5 reps. So no longer were I seeing the opportunities that I need to grow. Instead, I actually found myself getting worse. So I had to do something. I changed my position and tried to improve my opportunities from there. But after another year of playing catch-up from positions that I never really played before, I realized that I was at a stalemate. So this past August, I decided to hang up the cleats and pursue a new passion of mine, a passion for sales through the Schey Sales Center. I used my story of perseverance to nail my Schey interview and get into the Schey, but I didn't have a solid background to attract corporate partners last semester's fair. Not in the College of Business, no internships, etc. So I only landed 1 interview last semester, and I was not even close to getting a job. But I knew that if I professionally developed myself, learned some sales skills, and sold the crap out of Excel cards, I could leverage those experiences for the next fair. So, over the past semester, up until now, I've had the privilege of selling the 2nd most Excel cards, getting promoted to Excel manager, selling the most Schey Talks tickets, selling the most Schey Talks sponsorship sales, getting an interview with almost every corporate partner that I set myself to talk to this past fair. and getting 3 job offers. My college football experience was one of the biggest trials in my life. In retrospect, there are 2 ways I could have went about it. I could have said that I failed big time, committing to and wasting 3.5 years to not really get to significantly play in the game that I love. Or I could have been proud. I could have been proud of the obstacles that I overcame and the circumstances that I went through, and leverage those experiences to exceed in anything I set my mind to doing. And I am not alone in my story. Some of America's greatest heroes have failed more times than anyone else here could possibly imagine. Here are some examples. Lincoln failed in business. He failed as a farmer. He lost running for state legislature. He had a nervous breakdown. He was rejected for a job as a land officer. When he was finally elected to the legislature, he lost a vote to be speaker. He ran for Congress and lost. He ran for and lost a U.S. Senate seat. He ran for vice president and lost. He ran for the Senate and lost again. And when he was finally elected president, the nation that he was elected to lead broke apart. But by this time, all the activities, experiences, and people he came to know along the way helped him set a direction for this country that will stand as one of America's greatest legacies. In my good word.
I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed.
Most people see failure as a means to an end, but failure is not really failing. If you learn something from it, try again, and end up succeeding down the road. 90% of first businesses fail, but what people don't know is that 90% of second businesses succeed. But 80% of business owners never try a second time. And there's a science behind this as well. When we challenge ourselves, step out of our comfort zones, and try something new, there are literally neurons in our brain that will make new connections that expand on our knowledge. So you literally have undiscovered, untapped potential waiting to form inside your own mind. So what's stopping you from chasing after your wildest dreams or going into unventured territory? It is your fear of failure, your fear of what others are going to think of you. We have all been hurt in the past, and knowing that if we attempt something that we aren't so sure we'll succeed in, knowing that that hurt can come again can be a scary thought. But we have to look deep down inside, into who we are and into what we want, and realize that the biggest obstacle holding us back is ourselves. If we let go of our egos, let ourselves be vulnerable, let ourselves fail, ignore what others are going to think of us, challenge ourselves, learn, and try again, we will grow and discover our untapped potentials. Lastly, I want to leave you all off with this lovely video.
Maybe I should just quit and go back to making noodles.
Look, kid, bad things happen, and you can't do anything about it, right? Right. Wrong! When the world turns its back on you, you turn your back on the world.
When life gets you down, you know what you gotta do?
What you gotta do?
Just keep swimming, just keep swimming, just keep swimming, swimming, swimming.
You gotta put your past behind you.
But it still hurts. Oh, yes, the past can hurt. But the way I see it, you can either run from it or learn from it.
Yesterday is history. Tomorrow is a mystery. But today is a gift. That is why it is called the present.
Your story may not have such a happy beginning, but that doesn't make you who you are. It is the rest of your story. So, who are you?